Happy Thursday morning, everyone. I hope that you're doing well this week and you're continuing to maintain and stay up on your work with Mrs. Alphys and myself, and not only that, with all your other pieces. Remember, Mrs. Alphys and I are available by appointment. Just contact us and we'll make a time to meet via Zoom as soon as we possibly can make it work for both of our schedules. So, and by both of our schedules, I mean the student and the teacher's schedule, not Mrs. Alphys and mine. So, with that said, let's get into the lesson. Today's module 4, lesson 7, problem set concept video. We are multiplying whole numbers by fractions today. So kind of like what we were doing yesterday, except today we're only using tape diagrams to help us understand these models. We're not going to be drawing arrays. So we're going to just kind of keep ratcheting it up. All right, let me minimize my face and get me out of here. And let's get rolling. Let me switch pages. Let me get a good background. All right. So let's start off with 3/5 of 35. So we are taking 3/5 times 35. That's another way to think about that. 3/5 times 35. So when we're thinking about that, so if you ever see 3/5 of something, it's the same thing as 3/5 times something. So let's start with a tape diagram. The question is, what should our, and I'm going to change colors so we can see it. What should the whole be? Just like yesterday, the whole is the whole number. And then what are we cutting our tape diagram into? Well, that's where we look to the fraction and we look to the denominator, or where it tells us what units it is, and that's fifths. So we need to cut our tape diagram 4 times to create fifths. Now, what this sentence is asking for, 3/5 of 35. We need 3 of those units, 3 of those fifths. So we're going to represent that by saying we want 3 of these. So how do we solve for this? Well, we have to ask ourselves, do we know what each one of these values is right now? That's a question mark down there, by the way. That's a bad question mark. Do we know the value of each one of those units, one of those fifths? No. So first thing we have to do is we have to solve for one of the fifths. And then once we get one of those fifths, then we have to put back those 3 pieces to get our question mark. So how do we get 35 into those 5 equal groups? Well, yeah, that's a 35 divided by 5 sentence. Now, if you know your math facts, multiplication facts, this should be quick, right? Think about it as backwards multiplication. What times 5 gives you 35? Well, in this case, it's a whole number, right? There's no fraction, there's no parts. So the answer is just 7. So we know that each one of these parts is worth 7. And if we have 3 7s, so we have to now take those 3 groups and multiply by 7. 3 times 7 is 21. So 3/5, now I'm going to talk about this problem. 3/5 times 35 is equal to, well, it's equal to 21. And we used our tape diagram to solve for that. So we used our fractions to divide into each individual unit. And then we put as many units as we wanted out of that whole back together to get the answer. Let's try that again. All right, what's our next example? The next example in my book is a word problem. So let me just make one up off the top of my head. Let's go with, oh, actually, I'm not going to make it up off the top of my head. I'm going to go look at a problem in the book. Let's do 2/5 of 20. And again, I'm going to write it like that, but I'm also going to write it as a multiplication sentence, 2/5 times 20. So we're going to start by using a tape diagram today. So all of our problems today are going to have a tape diagram. We're going to represent the whole as our whole number. So 20 is our whole. We look to our unit or our denominator and we see it's fifths. So we're going to cut 4 pieces, so, or 4 times to get 5 pieces. And how many of those fifths do we want? Well, we want only 2 of them. So we want to know what 2/5 of 20 are. So we need to figure out what one individual unit is, and then, or one individual fifth is, and then we can combine the fifths. So we are going to be doing, we're going to take that whole, we're going to take that 20, we're going to divide it evenly into 5 groups. Well, that's 20 divided by 5. Once again, there's no, I know my multiplication facts. Something times 5 gives us 20 equally, so that's going to give us 4. So if there's 4s in our 2 fifths that we're looking for, how much is that all together? Well, 2/5 times 20 is going to give us 8. All right. So now we're going to shift into the problem set because I want to do a word problem over there. So let's go ahead and take these skills over to our problem set. All right, let me zoom in. All right, get your name on it. And the directions just say solve with the tape diagram. So we're actually going to come back to these in a second and do these. So we have the whole first page, but we're only going to do one word problem together here on the back, and then I'm going to ask us to go back to the front page and work on problems there. So it just says, let's just do 2A. We're probably just going to do. So there are 48 students going on a field trip. 1/4 are girls. How many boys are going on the trip? So same steps. Try to think, what's the whole? Well, the whole is going to be 48 students, right? They're all going on the trip. And then we know that 1/4 are girls. So what's the unit? What's the denominator? What are we breaking the whole into? Well, we're breaking into fourths, so that's 3 cuts. Well, we only want one of those. We know that this is the girls, but I don't know how many are the girls. On this case, we just have to do one step, right? Oh, it actually asks, never mind. Ask us how many boys we want. So first we have to figure out the girls, and then we can figure out the boys, right? So 1/4 are girls. So we're going to go ahead and we need to think about how to take that 48 and break it up into those 4 equal groups. Well, when we want equal groups, we know we're dividing by 4. Well, if you can't do that in your head, or you don't know that multiplication division fact, go ahead and set it up, standard algorithm, and you should be able to get the answer, no problem. So 48 divided by 4 is 12. So each one of these is a 12. But we're looking for the boys. How many boys are going on the trip? So we're looking at 3 groups of 12. 3 groups of, so we're talking about multiplying, right? 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. So the answer should be 36. So there are, remember to answer with a statement, there are 36 boys on the trip. That seems like a nightmare, by the way. And I'm a boy. 36 to 12 girls. Whew, that would be, All right, let's look at the front page and see what I'm gonna ask you to do on your own. And I'll have the answers here in a second. So let's see. And this is why it's important to watch the videos, because I'm not assigning everything. Let's assign every other. Let's assign every other. So A, D, E, H, and I, okay? So those are the ones that I'd like you to try using tape diagram, following those steps that we just did. I'm gonna pause it when you, and you're gonna pause me. You're gonna go try these on your own, and when you unpause me, I'll have my work all set for you, right? Ooh, welcome back. Actually, after practicing all those, I didn't know if we were gonna get to one of these. This is perfect. So you might have gotten stuck here because it wasn't even or whole numbers like the other ones. So when we do 12 divided by 5, I know that multiples of 5 end in 5 or 0. So I know that this is going to be, well, if I think about this as a fraction, I know that 12 divided by 5 looks like that. And I can number bond that a lot easier in my brain, knowing that there's 10 fifths and 2 fifths. So it would be 2 2/5 is our answer to that. So you could have done that standard algorithm too, but we know that each of these is 2 2/5. So if I put those together, 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2/5 plus 2/5 is equal to 4/5. Okay, so apologize for not having an example like that on our when we're working together. But hopefully you remember to just unpause me and see if so same thing with this one. This one's going to be one that has fractions in it too, or parts of a number. So we have 10 divided by 3, right? And we want 2 of those. So if we think about 10 divided by 3, I like thinking about it as a fraction, 10 divided by 3, because for me, I can pull 9/3 out of that, know that it's 3 wholes and have 1/3 left over. So I know that each one of these is 3 1/3. And then I can put those back together. Well, 3 and 3 is 6. 1/3 and 1/3 is 2/3. I am done. All right, now I'd like you to go try your exit ticket. Let's just quickly take a look at that together. We can see 3/5 of 30. You won't have a part of a number in that. 3/5 of a number is 30. What's the number? These are the exact same question. So you really only have to do one of those. That's weird. Mrs. Johnson baked 2 dozen cookies. 2/3 of the cookies were oatmeal. How many oatmeal cookies did Mrs. Johnson bake? I think you guys will be fine with that. Just cross off B, do A and C for me, please. And let me know if you need my help today. Nice job.